Ladies and gentlemen, this YouTube channel vlog show is of authenticity, inspiration, and realness. It is also about personality, good times, and fun. This is Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. And now, here is your host of the show, Mr. Big Beefy E himself, the elder statesman of Rant and Rave, and Mr. Shenanigans himself, Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. We're going to be talking about what happened on... This is episode 1045. We're going to talk about what happened on SmackDown that happened over a couple of hours ago. And it was the Survivor Series Fallout Part 2 in Brooklyn, New York, Barclays Center. Bianca Belair kicks off SmackDown and addresses the Brooklyn crowd about the Women's War Games matchup. And then Bianca Belair says, Damage Control, I'm not done with you because Io Sky, I want my title back, right? Io Sky interrupts Bianca Belair and Damage Control came out without Bayley. So this is an interesting situation. And so Dakota Kai says, hey, if you want the title, you're going to get through Damage Control. Who do you want, She goes, who do you want first? And then Kairi Sane kind of volunteered, but then Shotzi and Charlotte Flair came out. All 6 women in a brawl, while Belair, Shotzi, and Flair ended up standing tall. Then we came to the commercial. After the commercial break, Damage Control confronted their former leader Bayley back there. Where have you been? Because nobody told me what was going on and all that. And then she goes, well, Kairi. Also, Kairi Sane is going to be in the match, and we'd like for you to coach when she comes out. Okay. So Butch has been going it alone because Ridge Holland turned his back on Butch, and Butch has not heard from Sheamus. And so, but Bobby Lashley says, when I told you to make a name for yourself, don't do it at my expense, but then, are you sure you want to do this? And then Butch slaps Lashley across the face. Then these two went at it. And but Lashley in the end won the matchup. Then Paul Heyman confronted Nick Aldis of why he brought Randy Orton, and Nick Aldis says he has every intention to sign Orton to exclusive SmackDown contract. So, and Paul Heyman, well, Paul Heyman says everything has to go back to Roman Reigns. He said, all connection to Roman Reigns goes through you. I was like, can somebody please punch Paul Heyman in the face, man? He keeps on, saying, Roman Reigns this, we run this. If I was in the WWE, okay, I would not follow any rules, so to speak, if I was, like, doing, having my own character. So Roman Reigns wants this. I'm like, screw Roman Reigns. And the first person I would do is try to take out Solo Sikoa, and I don't mean on a date. You know what I mean? If I want to get the Roman Reigns, I take out the competition. I'm the eliminator. That's what I would call myself. But anyways, so yeah, it's getting old. So, but speaking of, Caleb Braxton interviewed Butch after the matchup, but then Butch goes, I don't know, I got to fight on my own, got to prove myself on my own. And then Pretty Deadly starts interrupting him, mocking him, making fun of him, and then he attacked both members. He tried to attack both members of Pretty Deadly, but Pretty Deadly had the numbers game in the end. And I think Butch will be full of P and V once he comes to. So, Kathy Kelly, though, interviewed Santos Escobar, and he says, Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar's lost his mind, but he says, his former Legado brethren, Joaquin Wild Cruz del Toro, they felt that he's brainwashed. He felt that he's brainwashed them and all that. So they went in the ring. Escobar did pick up the victory over his former Legado del Fantasma stablemate, and then he beats up Joaquin Wild after the matchup, but then Dragon Lee chases him off. And then Escobar tries to attack, and Dragon Lee was ready for him, and afterwards helped Joaquin Wild up. Meanwhile, Nick Aldis greeted Logan Paul and shook hands. They took a little chat. But then Adam Pearce arrived on the scene in Aldis' office, confronting Aldis about Randy Orton. And And Aldis says he's making it very clear he's going to sign on with SmackDown. Are you sure about that? We'll find out later on. So Logan Paul addresses the Brooklyn crowd about being the United States champion, and it is announced, according to by also an edict by SmackDown general manager, there will be an 8-man tournament to find Logan Paul's next challenger for the United States title. The 8 men are Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee, Grayson Waller, Karrion Kross, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and an NXT superstar to be named. Now, if that person comes on the SmackDown roster, it could be recently Axiom has been made his SmackDown on appearance. People would say, it could be a former NXT North American champ, Cameron Grimes. It could be Carmelo Hayes. It could be Braun Breaker. Heck, if it's Von Wagner, he's favored to win the whole tournament. It could be, after, it all depends what happens in the NXT deadline. It could be Ilya Dragunov wanting in on it. But one thing's for sure, an NXT superstar will be moving to the SmackDown roster, and once that happens, an exclusive deal, that person will be in the tournament. So, while that was going on, Kevin Owens interrupts Logan Paul, says, "I can't stand you already, you're a jerk," and all that. I thought in the back of my mind, please punch him in the face. Punch that Beavis-looking butthead in the face, right? And so Grayson Waller, who was prepared to face Owens in his next matchup, along with Austin Theory, comes up and starts running their mouths and say, "Hey, we got on, comment, all that." And as Austin Theory is running his mouth, Kevin Owens, wango! Seeing Kevin Owens punch out Austin Theory is a beautiful thing, because a lot of this, what you're doing is a lot of this Austin Theory. So it was great to see that. I started laughing when he went, wang, there goes Austin Theory. I was laughing my butt off. I thought that was hilarious. Anyways, so Kevin Owens went up against Grayson Waller while Logan Paul was on commentary with Michael Cole, Kevin Patrick, and friggin' Corey Graves. And but KO did win the matchup. So there'll be 2 matches during the tournament that will happen next week at the Tribute to the Troop Show version of SmackDown. It will be Santos Escobar going 1-on-1 with Dragon Lee. And the other matchup, it will be Bobby Lashley going up against Karrion Kross. So a huge opportunity for Karrion Kross. Then, Damage Control was getting hyped in its gorilla position while we're getting as Kairi Sane was getting ready. But then, Dakota Kai went over to Bayley. You okay? Yeah, fine. But then Io Sky goes, "You stay here." But so Bianca Belair goes 1-on-1 with Kairi Sane, right? And so Belair's got Charlotte Flair and Shotzi backing her up. But during the matchup, Shotzi and Flair got caught, trying to trip up Kairi Sane. Referees ejecting them from ringside, but then he catches Damage Control, causing them problems. They get ejected from ringside. Ryan Tran, the referee, says, "You guys all got to go." And it was 1-on-1. But lo and behold, who should get involved? Bayley. But she inadvertently cost Kairi Sane the matchup. So Damage Control is at a friction. Adam Pearce, both Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis were waiting for contracts in hand to sign Randy Orton, and then Orton shows up. They argue about who gets Orton, and then Paul Heyman interrupts Pearce and Aldis. He said, "You know what? We make the decision for you." So Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso came up. They started attacking Orton. LA Knight evens things up as Randy Orton RKO's Jey Uso, and then he ends up signing the SmackDown contract. So Roman Reigns, watch your back. NXT Level Up competition, Von Wagner and Luca Crucifino going 1-on-1 with Von Wagner picked up the victory as Kelly Kincaid. She might be the new NXT backstage interviewer going forward, because it was huge news that Mackenzie Mitchell has been released by the WWE. And so, I would not be surprised she goes back to Impact. That's where she first got her start. And with the being rebranded back as TNA, I think it would be a logical choice. Meanwhile, Brindley Reese, the newcomer to the women's division, went up against Elektra Lopez, and Elektra Lopez with Lola Vice did pick up the victory in that matchup. Meanwhile, Tavian Heights went one-on-one with Drew Gulak, and Drew Gulak did pick up the victory over Tavian Heights. Well, that is all the time we have for episode 1045 of Eric Shenanigans of 1977. Coming up next will be the AEW Rampage Event Center. So, until the next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. This concludes today's episode. This is Mr. Lima speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A big beefy E, do it for Bob Saget Productions, and in association with a Raven Bova Telepictures and Distribution. See you next time on another episode of the show. Goodbye for now.